welcome to November's Creative Corner, where you join us live every month whilst I build an image from the ground up. And today we've got a set already in place, and I'll talk you through that in a second. Some housekeeping first. If you would like to be notified of when these lives are going live, please hit the notification bells, the subscription and notification bells, as that way you will know when we are going live and you will be able to join us. Because we are live, you might hear a cat in the background. I'm very sorry for that. That's going to happen. And also we may experience some technical difficulties. So if you're joining us live, if you can just drop us in the comment a hello, where you're joining us from. And firstly, if you can hear me and see me, that would be great. So a thumbs up in the comments will be enough for us to know that we're coming to you and everything's going okay. So first and foremost, this is the set we're working with today, and I'm going to show you something different than we've previously shown you in terms of our setup and lighting. Now, I try to show you one lighting setups because I'm aware that a lot of you may be starting out on your photography journey, and so we try to keep minimal equipment here so that you can actually follow along with perhaps the equipment you have at home. But I'm aware that Black Friday has just come up, so you may have purchased some new equipment. So if you have and you would like to know perhaps some different setups, again, drop them in the comments. Tell us what you're struggling with or what equipment you're using, and see whether or not we can create some videos or talk about that in our next live. It's always helpful to give you the content that you need. So today we're using one softbox, and I'm using a continuous light, although if you have a strobe that will be fine as well. But I'm going to show you backlighting today. So today is all about backlighting. Now, in my previous lives, I've normally shown you side lighting. And I think last month, if Philippe can put the image we created up on screen, we showed you a gridded, I think, was it a gridded snoot? Yeah. Okay, and that was one light to the side of the image, and that gave that beautiful hard shadow. The gridded really concentrated the light and focused it in a place and allowed those hard shadows to come across. And because it was kind of like a Halloween theme, we chose to give you that little bit more gritty feel than images normally are. So today I'm going to go back to my big softbox, but I'm going to show you backlighting. So the softbox, as you can see, is positioned behind the grids. Let me just move it around so you can see what it's doing to the set. So if I pull it away, that's normal ambient lighting, okay? And you're seeing a lot of top lighting come in because obviously the side of the softbox is black, so we're blocking off the light from the studio lighting coming in. It's being blocked off, and the white ceiling is reflecting back in. So this is just natural light that you're seeing currently. If I were to put the softbox back in, what you see happening is some definition popping out, certainly on this side, but also you get to see that the item is coming out of the image in a very 3D way. And backlighting tends to do this to your image. The number one thing when you think of backlighting is volume. It gives your images volume, and it allows this three-dimensional feel to happen to your images. So instead of when you light something from the front, you are flat lighting it, your image appears very compressed. When you put some backlighting in, you're doing the reverse. You're allowing all of the wonderful edges of your images to be seen and to be given a depth and a texture in your images. And that is what is really, as I say, is really known with backlighting. It's about volume. And so we're going to work with that today. Now, I haven't got a specific theme in mind for today. What happens is on Friday I went to my florist and she had this in the window, and that was an instant, I need that. That's coming home with me. So this is a prop I've not worked with before. So that's going to be interesting. And I figured it would provide some challenges for us to go through together. So firstly is the height of it. The height's a challenge because obviously it's the tallest thing in my image. So where am I going to position it? And as you can see, what I've set up is I've set up this so it's not bang central in my image. It's slightly to the side, which I think kind of gives it that lovely off-center balance to things that allows a little bit of a, ooh, what's going on here feel to it. And to keep in with the depth and texture going on in my image, I chose not to put this on a flat wall. I chose to put it in the corner. So again, we're going to use a corner the same way as we did last week. And I'm going to play with that and see what objects I might be able to put behind it and see what kind of beautiful things that we can create with the depth going on through our image. The other thing is to note is obviously color. In this instance, I've set the image with our browns and a yellow wooden board underneath. So I've already chosen the color palette simply based on the prop. So that's already a given. Everything else then is very much worked around this prop, which is not normal. Normally it's a flower or a central item, but today because of the prop, it's the biggest thing in our image, so we're going to work around that. Okay, so again, as we're live, if you are joining us live, please let us know in the comments whether you can hear us. Tell us where you're from, and any questions you may have as I'm going, please feel free to drop them in there and I'll happily answer them as we go. And don't worry if you're seeing this on a replay, I will come back and answer those questions as well. So don't worry if you've got questions that I didn't answer, feel free to drop them in the comments now. It's fine. Okay, so some of the things that I brought up there was color. And so I've selected a few things already. I've just pulled them out so that you can see. And I chose a lot of dried flowers that I had because I kind of don't want to waste the flowers I've been using. So I've dried them over the years. So no doubt some of the flowers that I'm about to bring out you will have seen in previous images. Now, I was talking just a moment ago about depth. And we've created that with a backlight, but you can also create that with color. So let me bring on a few things to show you. Now, if you've ever looked at a horizon line, perhaps you've looked at, you've been walking in the woods and you see a clearing and you can see in front of you all the mountainscapes, and then you see them layered on the horizon, and then you see the blue sky. What you will notice is the further and further away you go, the lower and lower and lower in saturation the colours of the mountains in the background appear to be until you get to the sky. And we can play with that concept of colours and desaturation the further back in the image they are, just by playing with colours. So I want to show you that. I think we have, okay, so we have this. So this is kind of a desaturation. This is very bright. So this is not what I mean. This one is this is a very bright color in the image because it's kind of got some almost really light tones, although it's desaturated completely of color, it's very bright. So that's, even if we put that back here, it's still going to appear quite near in the image. So if we go, say for instance, with a darker tone that doesn't have much color in it anymore, back here, oh, I'm very sorry, we'll just turn the live view back on so you can see what I'm talking about. Back here, if I place it back here, it will push it completely into the depth of beyond. You can see like it pushes it further and further and further and back as if it's actually part of the background, which is what you see with the blue mountains. You kind of see them just disappear into the skyline. And that's what these do, is just push them further and further and back. Reds and pinks are a little different because obviously they're a little brighter, and in saturation terms they are a little bit more saturated than this. So you can see straight away that they actually pop out, even if we put them in the same field, in the same depth of field plane. You'll see that the saturation still pops out closer to you because of that perception of depth. So we can play around with that. Whatever we place in the background, we can decide whether or not we want it closer or further away just by the colour and saturation markers that we're using. Okay, so I'm going to start building that up whilst I have some of that in mind, because I really like these, and I've just completely forgotten the name of what they were. I think they were hydrangeas. Somebody's going to correct me on that. And when the hydrangeas are dead, you can cut them and they will dry really beautiful. Actually, a lot of my flowers are obviously dried today, but you'll see as we go the shapes that you can get from them. So I quite like how that might live in our background. So I'm going to keep that in my mind for now. Even dried yellows. Now, the pop of yellow will always come out a little bit forward. So I could put it back here and it will still appear like it's not really in the background. It's still come forward a little bit in perception. But some of these are really beautiful. I quite like how the drier flowers kind of make you feel. It kind of gives this old feeling of it's been there for a long time. It's kind of a reverent type image. So I do have some live flowers as well. I have with me, and I thought I might use some of these. Oh, she says almost tipping over the vase. I have some beautiful roses, which I really like the look of there. And I mean, even just look at that. Even just that is a beautiful image. In fact, I'm going to keep that right where it is, right place there, just so that you can see. And I'm going to work from that because that's worked so well just by placing that on the image. And I also have some other colours, but I quite like how bright that one is. Again, brightness, so it comes out of the image at you, right? So let's work with that one to start with. I might, if I want to give it a little bit more height, I might be able just to touch up the frame. If I push back the camera just a tiny bit and then give it just a little bit more height. So if I wanted to add something to the top of that image, if I wanted to add another rose around it, I can. So I'm just kind of working in my head of where I might be going. Now, although I love the placement of the rose, the thing about it is that you never put a rose or anything really flat on a surface, because it kind of squashes the petals. And although these petals have kind of come over the side, I would prefer to give it a little bit more height and have it sit somewhere about there. So I'm just going to pull that out a second and see whether this will work. I've got some moss. And I'm going to see whether or not this will help. It will either help it or be a terrible idea. So let's see. Perhaps like that. Again, because it's a lighter colour, I figured that it would add a little bit of interest straight up, but also give it a feeling of, oh yeah, we really have been here for a while. This isn't just a thing that's new. It's been there for a while. Let me just put the live image back in. Okay, so I'm just trying to play and not faff too much, because I think we all know I could be here for a while otherwise if you let me. So I'm just gonna, no, it really did need all of it. So let me just put it back in and see how that works. Normally I can see my screen a little bit better than I can do today because of the lighting points straight at it. So there's a little bit more backwards and forwards for me to see what's going on. Okay. But I think we're probably there. And then if I place the rose on top, so if it were to live there, how would that look? Yeah, I'm not actually sure that it was better without it. It might have been better without it up there. So that's a thing. That didn't work. That's fine. We'll take that off. I might just leave it at the base for a second. So if that didn't work but the rose does, let me just see whether or not some of this moss is actually going to work for us at all in the background. I'm pretty sure it may not at this point, so that's okay. We'll just, it may just live in a, like in a little corner. We'll work that out perhaps in a little while. Bob is definitely saying hello today. Okay, so I really do like this, but I want it to be propped up a little bit. So I'm going to get a little floral stem and just see if I can prop that up. So let me just, oh, hello Bob. I'm sure you would be a lot of help. Oh, and I have the most enormous slippers on to work in a small space. So I've just got a little flower frog just to support this a little bit off there. Okay, that looks nice. I might just move the leaves. I might style the leaves a little bit more, perhaps around. Oh, hello Bob. I'm sorry. You want to join in. I'm going to cut the rose so that there isn't so much of a lever. Oh, actually, perhaps if I leave it like that, we'll see. We'll work with it. I will definitely have to style the... I'm just going to push the rose onto the frog. I will definitely have to style the leaves in a better way. So let's just pull one of those leaves off. And perhaps just push it into the flower frog inside. So it just falls slightly here. Okay, so far so good. Now, the thing that I'm going to do is trying to balance some of these down on the bottom. So I will bring in, let me just take the moss out because I'm not convinced it's working for me at the moment. I will bring in some of, this tray. Now, on here I've got a lot of dried little branches and purples, and what I know is, let me bring them onto the set. Oh, and of course thank you, camera just switched off from live view. We'll switch it back on so you can see. And I'll just place that there for a second. Let me just work out So the moss didn't work, but I think perhaps some of this will work better for me. So a little bit of something that doesn't entirely hide the base down here, but kind of gives, again, this volume of feeling that we've been here for a while. This statue isn't just been planted, and it isn't just a new fixture. So I'm just going to put that there. And the purple against the yellow will certainly make a good combination. Like the yellow board and the purple together is going to go well as the fact that this is a very similar colour to the bottom. So that's going to help us. I'm seeing here, perhaps this needed a little something in here. There, okay, okay, I think this is good. I like how it's kind of sprayed out. And I have actually a little eggshell from spring, and I'm going to put that in at the bottom because I thought that's super cute just there. And it's because it's white, it will need to be perhaps not so much on the side of the lighting, because we know that it's going to make it the brightest thing in the image. You see there, but the contrast there is really is quite aggressive. So perhaps it might live this side. We'll see. We might have to, even in post, it may have to come down a little bit. Because of I'm looking at it and it is now the brightest thing in the image. So I'm going to take it out for a second and come back to that if that's an idea that I still want to play with. The other thing I have in my box is actually some dried roses, and I'm not sure. Let me just adjust my microphone back on. I'm sorry. Please let me know that you can hear me. Okay, so I'm not sure if these dried flowers are going to either live next to the live one, or perhaps more as in we've been here before in the back. Can you, if I move it, I'm trying to see where it comes into the frame. You see, even in the brightest part of the frame, in the back of the frame here, it pops out quite a lot. Let me just, I'm not sure I'm liking this actually. I think perhaps that's, I was wondering whether or not, like as in a scene of putting them in to show that, you know, these flowers have been laid here for many, many years, or over time people regeneratively, is that a word? I'm not sure it is, but they come and they put flowers here regularly. So I was trying to wonder whether or not that was the idea behind this, whether that felt right, whether placing perhaps dried roses or I've got quite a few of them, you see here, whether putting them around the base would show that, you know, this is something that has been done throughout the time. Often as you create an image, you kind of create a story to your head. I've talked about this before. So you kind of build up this idea, even if it isn't the idea you had in the beginning. As I told you, in the beginning of this particular image, I said, I had the idea of this wonderful prop. I just love the prop. So no theme, no story in mind other than the prop and the colours to match the prop. And as we've gone, I've kind of almost been thinking in my mind of this story of what can this be? Is it, and it feels like it's an old statue. It's been here for a while. The placement almost feels like it's an altar kind of feel, like, you know, you kind of put something on it that makes you come here quite often. And as I'm building up the image with the roses and then again with the flowers, the dried flowers that I have, it makes it feel like this is almost tradition, that people have come here over time and placed these roses, and it happens every time the rose is, you know, no longer fresh and new, they come and replace them. So in my head, this is the story that I'm starting to tell myself as I'm building up the image. Now, it's only what I'm seeing in it. What you will see in it, or what you get from the image, may be something completely different, but it doesn't matter, because I'm creating an image that has a story, that has a feeling or feelings to me. And the minute I have a story, it means that that may catch on, and other people will either latch onto it, or they will latch onto their own interpretation of the image. I mean, after all, art is only somebody's interpretation of what they see in front of them. And that's generally what I'm trying to do here, is just to build up a story. And that story doesn't necessarily need to be something I had in mind at the beginning. So I think we have talked about that before. Okay, so I had shown you that I have other roses here, but I'm not sure that I'm going to use them, because if I do use them, it will be a 3. Generally, you use things in 3, but I'm not sure that's, oh, see, I wasn't sure, but now I am. Now I'm sure that we're going to use it. Okay, so let me chop this down to size. I think the good thing is you can see above, so you can see kind of where I'm placing things above, and you can get the idea of how I'm using one thing as a prop for the other. So this has a hole in the top, so I can either put that there. In fact, I will open these a little bit more. I'm really trying not to faff too much, because I know that when I do so, the lives become an hour and something rather than 40 odd minutes. So I'm very sorry for that. But just to give you an idea of what that might be. And because that's squashed there, I would probably use another flower frog, as you can see from the top here. I would just use it and push that into place. And hopefully that will stay. And if needed, because that's now all coming out, I might just weight it down. There would be some better way of doing this, I'm sure, and I will find some tape, I think, would be better. I don't know if we have... Can you just pass me some masking tape that's behind my cup of tea? As you must know by now, there is never very far without a cup of tea somewhere on set. It's like this joke we have. Perfect, thank you. Yeah. Where I walk on set with a cup of tea and put it somewhere. There we go. That will do for now. Okay, so again, you can see that from above, but the camera can't. So what you're seeing here, hopefully, if it stays, you're seeing the set version on your where I'm in, but this one here is what the camera is seeing. So you can't see the tape in the back or the things that I'm using to prop it up. So I am also aware that I will probably need some more leaf type. And I had a beautiful leaf here, so I probably will have, you know, a leaf popping out here, or just making it, but I will think about that after the 3rd rose. So we do 3 roses because of the numbers. Let me just pop that back down here. As you can see, there's 3 here. I tend to use the 3 because of the triangle. It's very dynamic in the image of having your eyes follow that triangle. Now, I'm not sure if we do a 3rd pink one or we use a really deep colour. And I'm pulling the leaves off, but I'm keeping them because they will be used. And let me just check. What do we think? Do we think the 3rd one? Or do we? Perhaps not. I don't know. Let me just see there. Perhaps not that one. Let's see if indeed the 3rd one. Ooh. I really like that branch. That branch might actually come out like here or something. We'll see how that one works for a second. I'm not sure if we're going to use, what do we think, 2 there, or Philippe's shaking his head at me, so we think the 3rd one. Or the other idea would be to have it peeking around the corner, which is kind of a fun idea. I like that one. Let's have it there, I think, because I don't want to make this too top heavy up here. I think this already has quite a nice feel to this. I think that the 3rd one may just sneakily wrap around the base. Hello, Bob. You're not being ever so helpful today. You really aren't. Perhaps further back. And remember what I was saying about the colours is that with this sort of thing, even though it's behind the others, because it's the same saturation, it will appear as if it's a little bit more forward, and your eye will bring it forwards, even though it's back here. But because it is back here, it's going to be a little bit more saturated than the ones on the top, because the ones on the top are in colour, are in the light, and the ones back here are more in the shade, which means automatically they're going to have a deeper saturation, more saturation. So I'm going to try and put that here, which is going to be fun because I want it to appear just at that angle. And if you can see from the top, that means having to adjust a leverage point. So I'm going to try a couple of things, and we'll need a base, a frog, bigger frog, perhaps some wire, perhaps some tape. She says, gathering her weaponry to do battle with. Now this is a bigger frog size, and that's what I'm going to use back here to firstly place this back here, but I'm going to need to cut it, but I don't want to cut too much off it because I want the height, so I'm just going to place it where I want the height. So where was it? Was it a bit round? I'm trying to, it's quite difficult to see with the light, but I think it was there, right? More or less. Okay, so that's probably the height that we're talking about. And I'm going to cut a diagonal of the stem of the rose so that it fits into the base. Let me just do this offset so that I'm not accidentally, and I fully expect that this may need a little bit of sticky tape and gadgets and things to keep this in place. So I'm gonna put another frog behind it just to, it's even, that might need a stone there. So we'll fidget with that, probably off camera, so that I'm not wasting too much time here trying to. Let me just. I promise that I have the tendency to keep fiddling until it's perfect, and obviously that might be a bit boring to watch, so I'm very sorry. I'm just trying to. Okay, just for now, I think that's. Just come in here. I can always tape this to the structure, to our prop, and I possibly will, but I'd like to bring it just. Is that better? Just peeking out. Yes, so it definitely will need some masking tape, which I will then cover sneakily. So back here I will just tape it. I don't know if you can see that part overhead, but I've just taped it to the structure so that it appears out. And I'm going to open this rose out so that you get to see. Oh, hello, Bob. He's normally asleep by now, this is why. So we're opening it out just a tiny bit so that we can see in there. Perfect. And what I really like here is this leaf here has done such a good job for us. I kind of like to put another leaf underneath here. So we will try and find perhaps some little gems to do that underneath there for us. And I don't like the ripped one. There was what happened there? I see a ripped image in the leaf. Is that the one? Huh. But the leaf isn't ripped, so perhaps that's just what I'm seeing on the screen. It's, oh, I see. It's, okay. It caught me because the leaves wrapping over each other. So the next thing is it kind of needs another leaf or something propping up here. So we need something perhaps coming out here. And I'm going to use some of my green floral goop glue just to place that. And I'm going to put that right on top there so that that comes up quite nicely. And I'd like something a little bit here as well. So I'm just trying to look through the leaves that I've collected for the best ones to see how they will go. So that's beautiful. Okay, perhaps that one can come over a little bit. Okay, so I like that a lot. I might also want to put another little leaf here. Let me just, again, I'm just searching through the collection of leaves to see what we've got. And I really like these two little ones. So I'm just going to pin that to the inside of my prop there. So hopefully You can't see the top one, so I will curl the top one over. Okay, I think that works well. So the next thing I'm going to do is to work out this. Oh, sorry. You will need to be open just a little bit more. Let's see if I can perhaps tease the petals around. Hopefully that will stay out. Okay, so I was looking at the background in the very beginning and saying that perhaps we would be using either some of these in the background. This line is bothering me, so I will definitely look to be removing. You see this seam here? I will definitely look to be removing that seam in post, because I would like it to be completely seamless. So I'm just wondering whether I would have either that coming in, probably not in camera, so having it back here, that could be an idea. Like if I put some of them up here, that could be possible. So that's one idea. I'd said about the daisies before, but with the colour scheme the way it is right now, I'm reluctant to put yellow in this image. Although there are a few little things I probably will put in the background, just to give it a little bit of character back here. These beautiful little perhaps not there. Let's see if we've got some more taller ones. This is literally my box of and I wonder if, like, literally all my dried flowers go in this box. I'm sure can you see that from overhead? I don't know that you can. Possibly. Okay, if I bring it up, you can see, like, I have a box full of dried flowers, and I'm hunting in the box to see like what beautiful things might live on this set. So I'm just pulling out some things that that I like, that perhaps might go. I think that they are way too short though, so I think I've probably used them in the past. What other, like these? Okay. That will definitely, if we have some more eucalyptus, that would definitely go. So if I've got some in that, I will. I do have some dried yellows in this general, but again, I'm not, perhaps back here, I'm not sure that yellow on the set right now. But I do have some thistles, which will work nicely, I think. So I'm just pulling out some things that perhaps might just work in the background. And even just a little bit of added extra, rather than just keep the... Because generally if these were to be found on, say for instance, you know, in the wild, you wouldn't necessarily just have one type of flower. It would be found next to other types of flowers. So I'm just going to put in a few. Firstly, oh, can you? These are eucalyptus dried eucalyptus, and I think they will complement the colours really, really well, and also add in a little bit of interest into breaking up just the rose petals that we have here, so it's not just the roses and the rose leaves up here. And perhaps even like a bigger one where we can have them coming off just lovely like that. I mean, you don't, having a tall item like this, it helps if you can have something falling off it or coming around the sides, because otherwise you've got something at the bottom, something at the top, and nothing really connecting them in the middle. So what I'm doing now is finding those pieces that will help bring these two together. So we've got the new at the top, we've got the brand sparkly young flowers at the top, but we also need something that connects them to the old down at the bottom, something that roots the whole image. So I'm now looking to see whether or not we can find these connective pieces. So these, literally I'm rummaging through my collections here of dried flowers, which are awfully helpful at times, and can help give an image an extra dimension and texture. So perhaps if I just, there we go. I will just put a little bit of floral goo. This is, it's not really floral goo, it's Oasis, it's floral products. We've shown them before, but it comes out as goopy green stuff. Be careful on using it on backdrops that are white, because the green will come and stain the white image, the white backdrops. I speak from experience. Okay, so I think this is coming out really beautifully. I like how it's falling off and falling down now. I want to keep the base kind of sparse. I like how that's coming along as well. We could put some of the thistles in the background, so I'm just going to keep those out of the box just for now, to place those in a second. What else do we have in here? I have another beautiful piece. So we'll place that there. I'm not sure if that's, we need something that comes round rather than finishes so abruptly, so that's probably not the piece. Now it's a little bit like a jigsaw, where you are trying to find the pieces that fit well and that do your image justice. It's helpful sometimes when you're getting to this stage of an image, is think, okay, what does the image now need? What is missing? Rather than just search and try and throw everything at the image, is really stop and think, what does the image need and where am I going to find that piece? So when I was putting something here, I had found a piece, but it was poking out. So I'm now looking for something that will perhaps be a little bit more gentle and have a nicer finish at the point there. Let's just, can you see? So the bud is a little bit nicer than just a branch that's finished. And I think perhaps it may also need something over here as well in that way. Let's just try this, if this works. Okay. So again, it's something that just brings the piece into a nicer fuller feel. I don't like how this piece here is completely out of the image, but we'll work that. Okay, so I'm not going to faff too much more now. There are a few things that I will probably add to this, and that, as I was saying before, is probably some thistles here and just in the back. Again, in a color that is lower saturation, although this is a little bit bright. I have some of these pieces here that are less bright and much lower in saturation. So putting them further back in the image, again, will just push that image and give me depth and texture of the image that we spoke about at the beginning. So I'm going to go away and do that, and probably add in, because it's me, add in a butterfly or two as well. So I'm going to leave it here. We're not far off from finished, but I will keep working on it and finish the piece, and you will see the finished image over on Instagram today. Again, if you have any comments, questions, feel free to leave them and I will come back here and answer them all. But I hope that you found this to be informative, and I hope that you enjoyed being with us this Sunday. Thank you very much.